Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is YAHMAD. We're going to be looking at paper 3 from the CIE ICT IGCSE course. I'm going to be redoing the 2017 website sections using Microsoft Web Expression 4 and then Paint.net for any graphic related tasks. So paper 3 is a 2 hour and 30-minute long paper. It includes data analysis, which is the spreadsheet part, and a website authoring. So we're going to be using Microsoft Web Expression. Since I've done these papers previously, I've already have the evidence document. So I've got some of the questions from the previous paper I've completed, and I'll redo the print screens as well. Okay, so let's go down. Okay, we already have the evidence documents open. So task 2, web page. So you work for Hothouse Design and you will be developing some web pages. Okay, many people who view the web pages will have a very slow internet connection, so efficient markup must be used. Right, the first thing we need to do is to create a new folder called m17_html. Let's just copy this name. So if we go to my source folder, let's make our new folder. Enter the name. And in this folder, what we need to do is basically locate the following files and move them into the folder. So to make my life a little bit easier, let's go to view details. Let's get the types in the right order. Okay, so what we need to move first of all are the two background pictures. So you got BG1, BG2. So let me locate these two. Yeah, I can press Control to select multiple files, and let's move the first two files. And then the image 1 files all the way to image 8, or JPEG. So image 1 all the way to image 8. Let's press Control, move these files. The logo file and then the CSS file. So the logo and the CSS, let's move them both. So in our folder we have all of the files. We've got 2 pictures for the background, we've got 8 pictures in total, 1 for the logo and 1 CSS style sheet. Okay, so let me highlight this. I've completed now. And now let's move on to the first question. So we're going to be using Microsoft Web Expression. So let me open up this software. And we're going to be creating a new page called m17ges.htm. So this is the file extension. So the page is just going to be called m17ges, which will stand for Goa, Elephant and Sanctuary, since that's the topic. Okay, so when you open up Microsoft Web Expression, you can close down any pages. Let's click on File, New, select HTML. Let's go to Design View. And before we do anything, we should be saving this page into our folder that we just created. So Web Expression 2017. We're doing the March paper. Let me double check. Yeah, so it's the February-March paper. Here's the folder that we just created. Let me enter the name. Since we've created a new HTML, it's going to save into that format. So we just need to type in a file name. We don't need to include a file extension. Let's press save. And the next thing we need to do is create the table structure shown below here. So we've done this. Let me highlight this. The web page must work in all browsers and will have a table structure shown below. Each cell is identified with a letter and all dimensions are in pixels. So before we can create the table structure, let's identify how many rows and columns we're going to have. So let's see the rows first. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and columns will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So to create a table in Microsoft Expression Web 4, you click on Table, you click on Insert Table. We're going to have 5 rows and 4 columns. And at this point here, what we can do, we can specify how wide the table is going to be. So the table will be 900 pixels wide. So we need to make sure we refer to all the sizes in pixels. So you select pixels here, and we're going to specify how wide the table is, and it's going to be 900. Now the height of the table will be set when we resize each of the cells. Okay, so we don't need to concern ourselves with the height of the table so far. So if I press OK, you can see we have our table. Let me just move this window here. So we've got one row. Oh, sorry, let's count the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and then the columns 1, 2, 3, 4. If you look at the picture, the first row, the second row, and the third row will be merged across all of the cells. So let's merge the first row first of all. So highlight the cells, right click, click on modify and select merge cells. Do the same again for the second row, right click, modify, merge the cells, and then the last row also needs to be merged across as well. Right click, modify, merge the cells. Okay. So now what we need to do is set this height for the first 2 rows and the last row as well. Already the table is 900 pixels wide, so we don't need to set this value now. So it's just a height. To set the height for the first row, you need to click on this row and then right click on your mouse. You click on cell properties. Let's specify the height. So in pixels, a height for the first row is going to be 200 pixels. Okay, so let's enter 200. Let's click on apply. Let's click the second row, right click your mouse, go to cell properties, specify the height in pixels. For the second row is going to be 120 pixels. Apply. And then the last row, the height is going to be, let me just highlight this to say I've completed, 60 pixels. So if we click on the last row, right click, cell properties, the height will be 60 pixels. Okay, so now let's look at row C. So all the cells in row C will be 225 pixels wide and then 225 pixels tall as well. So, okay, so and this row is slightly different. So if I highlight row C, so this is row A, B, row C. If I highlight all of the cells, we can do it all in one go. So if I right click, click on cell properties, I'm going to specify how wide and how the height of each cell as well. So I think it's 225 by 225. Yep, so let me enter both values. Okay, so make sure we select in pixels. Let's click on apply. And then let's move down to row, this is the 4th row. Okay, so the height of these cells will be 100 and the cells will be 225 pixels wide. So all the cells have the same dimensions, so we can do it all in one go. So we highlight all of the cells, right click on mouse, go to cell properties, and we can select 225 going across. In pixels, make sure that's selected, and the height is going to be 100, again pixels. Yep, I'm happy with that. So here we have a table, we have 5 rows. If we go to the code and let's look at the some of the code. So TR stands for table row. So in the first row we only have one cell which has been merged across. Okay, so we only have one TD. In the second row we also have one cell which has been merged across, and in the final row we also have one cell which has been merged across 4 columns. So in the third row, if I go back to design view, so you can see the third row now has been highlighted. We have 4 cells. So for each cell we have a TD, and as you can see we've got the dimensions for the cells as well. And then in the 4th row, if I go back to design, we also have 4 cells. Okay, and you can see the height is slightly less than in previous column here. So what we have in HTML is basically the size of the table, how wide the table is. Then we got code for each of the rows, and then code for each of the cells within that row. So obviously within the third row we have 4 cells, so we have 4 TDs. So each cell or each HTML tag you need to close. The only difference being with the opening and closing tag is you have a backward slash. So you have to close each tag. So you have the main table tag here, which closes with the main table tag here. Any content that will go into the table, any hyperlinks or pictures, will fall within this code here. Okay, so table borders, letters and dimensions shown in table must not appear on your final web page. So table borders must not show, and we'll come back to that at some point. Okay, so let's now go down to question 2. So place in cell A the image m17logo.jpg. So cell A should be the first row. Yep. So to place an image, let's go to the first row first of all. Let's click in the first row. You can either click on this icon here to insert a picture from file, or you can go to insert picture from file. So it doesn't really matter what you click on. Go to your folder. So let me just go to my web expression folder. So we're doing 2017 March, and then let me double check the file name again. So the file name is m17 logo. So it's going to be this picture here. I always include alternative text, so if the picture does not load up, then this text will be displayed instead. Sometimes the question paper may ask you later on to include alternative text for all images, so let me double check. Yeah, so make sure appropriate text is displayed if any image is not available. So I'm going to do it now. So since it's a picture of a logo, let's type in logo as the alternative text. Press OK, and you can see this is the logo image. If you click on a picture and go to the code, what will be marked is this piece of code here for the alternative text. So the code for the picture is, you got src equal, then in speech marks the name of the picture including the file extension, and then you also have the dimensions of the picture, so how wide and how tall, or the height of the image. Right, let's move on. Okay, so we've done question 2. In cell B, enter the text. So cell B should be the second row. Yes. A leader. So we're just going to, what we're going to do, we're going to copy and paste this information. So leader in conservation development. And we're going to set this text as style H1, which is heading 1. So let's click in this row here. In the exam, you'd obviously would have to type in. Since I've got the electronic question paper, I can paste the text in. Okay, and then if you highlight the text, let's format it as H1. So if you click on this panel here, we can select H1, which is heading 1. Okay, so that's that done. So set this text as H1, which we've done. Okay, question 4, using the most appropriate image from image 1 to image 8, place in cell. So what we need to do is, let me change these to large icons. So we need to look from image 1 to image 8, and we need to place the most appropriate picture. So C, the image of a meal being cooked. So in C, which is this third row, first cell, if you go to insert picture from file, we need to include a picture of a meal being cooked. So it's going to be image 7. Let me include the alternative text. Let's just type it in. Meal being cooked. Press OK. Okay, that's done. In D, which is the next cell in the same column or same row, image of an elephant ride. So let me copy and paste this for the alternative text. So let's click in D, insert picture from file. That's the elephant ride. Let's include the alternative text. Okay. E, the image of a jungle. So again, E is going to be the next cell, F is the next cell. So in E, we want a picture of the jungle. So I think that looks like the jungle. Let's include the alternative text. And finally, in F, a picture of an envelope. So let's click on that cell, click on picture from file, and select envelope, and let's press OK. So before we move on, let me just go to the code view, and you can see in this row here we have all of the pictures included. So the code for the picture is src equal, and then in speech marks the name of the picture with the file extension, and then you got the height and how wide the picture is as well, and then you can see the alternative text for each picture. So the meal being cooked, the elephant ride, the jungle, and then the envelope. Okay, so let's go back to design view. Make sure appropriate text is displayed if the image is not available. So that's what we did as we went along. If you haven't done that, what you can do, you can right click on a picture, go to picture properties, and then you can include the alternative text here as well. Right, so let's move forward. Before I move forward, let me just save the changes. Right, so now we're going to include some text. So G, H, I, and J are cells in this row here. So G, H, I, and J. So in G, we're going to enter the text local cooking. So I can copy and paste. Obviously, you'll have to type it in during the exam. Local cooking. The next one is elephant rides. The next cell is remote jungle location. And then in the next cell, we have contact us. Okay, and all of this text should be set as style H2, which is heading 2. So we can do this one at a time. So if I highlight the text, if we go to the headings panel, we can select heading 2. So later, once we attach the CSS, these styles may change according to the style sheet. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like now. So again, if we go to the code, let me just show you the code. So we always open with the H2 tag, and when you close on the tag, you should have the backward slash. If you wanted to change it to H3, you simply type in H3 here, and obviously this needs to be the same, and that can also be changed to H3. So you open and close the same tag. The only thing different being is that you have a backward slash to close a particular tag. If I go to design view, you can see this is slightly different. If I change it back here, back to H2, you'll see it's also changed in the code as well. So whatever you do in the code will change here. If you do anything here, it will also change in the code as well. Right, so that's that done. In cell K, K is going to be the last row, as you can see. We are going to place in cell K the text page created for hothouse design, followed by your name, center number, and candidate number. So for my center number, I'll use 5, 6, 7, 8, and then from candidate number, I'll use 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me write my name first of all, comma, center number, 5, 6, 7, 8. For my candidate number, I'll use 1, 2, 3, 4. And this will be set as style H3. So let's highlight the text and let's apply H3. Okay, done. Question 8, centerline the table in the browser. There's two ways of doing this. We can either do it the easy way. So if you click on the table, so if you just, let me highlight the whole table. If I just click on the outside, yeah. So if you click on the outside of the table, you can click on center align up here, and then if you go to the code view, you can see at the top of the table code, the table has been center aligned. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. Let me press Ctrl Z to go back. Okay, so the other method of center aligning a table, and this has been used in previous mark schemes, is to go to the code. Okay, so if you go to the top first row of the code, and you can see there's a style code here. What we need to do is we need to embed some CSS style into this. So we're going to set the margins left and right to be both automatic, which will center align the table. So after this part of the code, let's include a semicolon. Make sure you're still within the speech marks. Type in margin left, select auto, enter a semicolon, and then margin right, auto as well. So what you need to do is make sure you're within the speech marks. After each part of the code, enter a semicolon. So if we go back to design view, you can see the tables being center aligned. So some previous mark schemes, they will look for this actual piece of code here, that the margins for the left and right have been set as automatic. Okay, so let's move forward now. Question 9. We're going to create a hyperlink from the image of the envelope. So the image is here. So let's right click on this image and go to, if you go down, whoops, let me try that again. Select hyperlink. Okay, so create a hyperlink from the image of the envelope to send an email message to, so let me copy this address. So if you click on email address, type in an email address, okay, and with a subject line, book me a visit. So what this will do will basically, it will create an email link. So once you click on that picture, let me just double check, is it just a picture? So create a hyperlink from the image of the envelope. Yeah. So if you go to the browser and you click on this picture, it will open up your email client, maybe Outlook, and this address will automatically be an address bar, and this subject line will automatically be in a subject line. Let's press OK. So if you were to go to the browser and if you were to click on this picture, it will take you to an email client if it's installed. I don't think I have one installed, so let me check to see if this is working. So save the changes. If I go to the browser, I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Okay, here we go. So if I click on this picture, nothing's going to happen because I haven't got an email client installed. But the main thing is, if you go to the code, what's going to be marked is basically this piece of code here. So this stands for hyperlinks, so href. This is the email link or the email address. And for the subject line, you got question mark subject equal, and then this is the subject line. So what's going to be marked is this. So if it's not working in the browser, it doesn't really matter as long as the code appears in HTML. Right, so that's question 9 done. Okay, so question 10, attach the style sheet m17ss.css to the web page, and then we're going to save the web page. So you need to make sure you have the Manage Styles panel open. If you don't see it, go to Panels, Manage Styles. To attach the style sheet, click on here, Browse, and it's going to be m17ss. So it should be in your source folder. Let's double click. When I press OK, the page will then be formatted according to the style sheet. Okay. Right. The style sheet has been created but needs to be improved using the most efficient syntax. Make sure your style sheet contains no HTML. So you can see some changes have been made. The text has changed. It's gone to like a maroon color, so it's slightly different to what it was before. The font size and styles has obviously changed as well. Right, so what we need to do is to open and examine style sheet. Okay, we need to improve the style sheet basically. So let's go to File, Open, and open up the M17SS style sheet. Okay, so we need to add the following to the style sheet. So we're not going to delete anything, we just need to add the following. H1, H2 and H3 has the same font styles, so the browser will first look for this font style for H1, H2 and H3. If that's not available, then it's going to check for this font style. If that's not available, then the browser will go for default sans serif font. Okay, so we need to create a new tag. So these are separate styles for H1, H2 and H3, so we don't need to change anything here. Let's click on new style. Since H1, H2 and H3 will share the same style, we can do it all together. So let's enter a comma, type in H2, enter comma, and type in H3. So since the default font will be sans serif, let's just select Arial for now, and then what we're going to do is delete anything before that, and then what you'll have to do is basically type in this font style. So this font style, it may not exist in a browser, so if you click down, I don't think it does exist. Okay, it doesn't matter. So what we can do, we can simply type in the font style. So let's type this font style in first of all. type in comma, space, type in the next font style, which is going to be Canberra. Comma, and then if the first font is not available, then the browser will choose this. If this font is not available, then the browser will go for the default sans serif. So make sure you include commas after each font style. Let's click on apply. Okay. And what we need to do now for the body is we have a background color for the body. So if I modify the body, actually we don't have a background color, we have a color for the font styles, but these will be overruled now. Actually no, we don't have font style colors, so this will stay. So all of the styles, all of the text styles on the page will take this color here. But what we need to do is set this picture M17BG1 as the background picture. So if you go to background, go to background image, let's browse, and it's going to be M17BG1 as a background picture. So let's click here, and what we need to do is to make sure the image is going to be tiled, repeated, and it's going to override the browser's default settings. So what we just simply need to do is click on background repeat and select repeat. If I go to the folder, the picture is really small, as you can see here, so it's going to have like a tile effect, so it should cover the whole page. Let's click on apply. Okay, and yep, that's that part done. We've added these styles, and we've edited the body style to include a background which will be repeated. We need to add your name, center number, candidate number as a comment to the bottom of your style sheet. So to add a comment, you simply write /star, and you notice it'll turn to green. So let's include my name, comma, let's include the center number, so I'll use 5678, comma, let's include the candidate number. To close a comment is star and slash. Okay, save the style sheet into your M17 folder. So since it's not giving us a new name, I'm going to save it with the same file name, so we can go to file and save. And evidence 1, take a screenshot showing the content of your style sheet, place this into your evidence document. So when it says a screenshot, you literally have to take a screenshot. If it says take a copy, that's a copy and paste. So let me take a print screen. So let me press my button. You can use the snipping tool if you want. So for evidence 11, take a screenshot showing the content of your style sheet. So let me paste. Okay, so what we can do is we can then crop off the part which we don't need, and then increase the size of the image. So make sure you include a file name at the top, and as you can see, we've got H1, H2 and H3 written in the most efficient way. You could have included a font family for H1, H2 and H3, but then you're duplicating the code. So to make it more efficient, you can simply write a comma in between the three tags. And we've also included a background image which will be repeated. So since we've saved this, automatically the changes will take effect, and you can see H1, H2 and H3 all have the same font style. Okay, and then you can see there's a background picture which has been tiled, so the repeat effect has been applied. Okay, so let me go down. Question 12. A website is tested before it's uploaded to the internet. Hyperlinks will be tested as part of the test strategy. List 4 questions in your own words that could be used within a test plan to test these hyperlinks. So we want to test the hyperlinks, and we want to think of 4 questions that we can ask to test that could be used in the test plan to check to see if the hyperlinks are working. So for evidence 2, type a list of questions into the evidence document. So since I've done this previously, I've already got my list of questions. We only need 4. I've got a few more extra ones. So let's have a look. If I go down, the first question we can ask about the hyperlinks. Let me just press backspace. Oops. Yeah. Is the hyperlink from the correct text or the correct image? Do hyperlinks to anchors within a page work? So let's say you had an anchor placed at the top of the page, and you had some text at the bottom of the page. When you click on that link, does it return you back to the top of the page? So that's the second question that could be asked. Another question that could be asked is, do hyperlinks to other pages in the site work? Do hyperlinks to email open the editor and software? So as we found out before, mine wasn't working. Do hyperlinks to email have the correct address? So that's the correct email address and the correct subject line. And do all external hyperlinks to existing URLs work? So if we go back to the question, so basically these are different questions we could ask as part of a test plan. Okay, so you only need to include 4. So think about the obvious ones you could include. So obviously, does the hyperlink work from the correct text or image? Does the external hyperlinks work? Do the internal hyperlinks work to your other pages? And you could also ask about the anchors as well. Do the anchors within the web page work? Okay, let's now move on to evidence 3. So display the page in a web browser. If necessary, resize so all the page can be seen, all the text can be easily read, and the address bar is visible. Take a single screenshot of the browser window and place this into your evidence document. So what we need to do is to take this page into the browser. And you need to make sure, if you have to, zoom out so you can see the full page. Okay, so let me take a print screen and let me paste it into the evidence. So for the browser print screen, let's paste that in. So if you want, you can crop off any parts which are not relevant, but you need to make sure the full page is visible, and you also include the address bar at the top. Right. The next thing we need to do is evidence 4 is take a copy of the HTML source and place this into your evidence document. So when it says take a copy, you literally have to copy and paste all of the HTML code from top to bottom. So let me highlight all of the code, click on copy, and this is evidence 4. So if we go to our evidence document, let's paste in. If you want, you can resize the text before you paste it in. Let me right click and paste. Okay, so here we go. Here's all of the HTML, and in this HTML, the first evidence that I will look for is the correct style sheet has been attached, and then we have some table properties. So tables 900 pixels wide, tables being automatically aligned to the center because both left and right margins are automatic. And then you got details for the table, column span, the height of each cell, any pictures that may be included with the alternative text. And if you go down, evidence that we created an email link. So here we go. So that's what's going to be marked. So even if the email link is not opening, as long as the code appears in the HTML, that will be fine. Okay, so let's now move on. Question 13, open a style sheet m17ss.css. We're going to now replace the background image with bg1 with the image ending in bg2. Okay, so we already have the style sheet here, and what we want to do is basically replace the background image. So if we go to body, modify style, we want to change this picture, and we want to select the background picture ending in bg2. Okay, and then we're going to save the style sheet. So apply, file, save. For evidence 5, refresh the page in your browser, and if necessary, resize. So again, all the page can be seen, text can be read, address bar is visible, and then take a single screenshot of the browser window and place this into your evidence document. So hopefully, if I refresh, you can see the background picture has changed. Let's take a print screen. This is for evidence 5. Let's move this onto the next page. Paste it in. Crop off the part at the bottom if you don't need it. Okay. And make sure you can see the address bar and the page is fully visible. Okay, so now what we need to do, so that's question 13 done. Evaluate in your own words the change of the background image. So type your evaluation into your evidence document using no more than 100 words. So evaluate in your own words the change of the background image. So what we need to do here is basically we have to compare the two different web pages. If we go to my evidence document, that's what it looked like previously. So can you see it was quite easy to read a text, and the background picture didn't really take much of the focus away from the web page. Whereas now, if you go down and look at a new example, the picture of the elephant is quite distracting and is more difficult to read the information. So what I've got in my evidence document so far is, if I zoom in, so the first background gives a clear contrast to a text. Second does not have a clear contrast, so it's more difficult to read the text on the second background. The structure of the web page is clear with the first background, so you can see basically on the first background you got your header, then you got your main title, then you got your pictures, whereas it's more difficult to see that with the elephant picture in the background. Okay. The second background image is unsuitable as it shifts from light to dark and it is tiled. So as you can see, you've got some light areas and it's got some dark areas. Second background image relates to the context of the business as it includes an image of an elephant. So despite there being issues with this background image, at least it's related to the context of the theme of this website. So at least that's one positive. In the second background, it does not look like a professional company site, and a logo has poor contrast between the background and the colors of the logo. So this logo does not now stand out with this background. If you look at the previous background, the logo at least stands out and is a little bit more clear. Okay, so we've come to the end of the website section. So before I finish this video, let me just look at the evidence document really quickly. So the first print screen was the print screen of the CSS style sheet that we had to edit. So make sure you include the file name. Okay. Then we had some questions from the test plan. We had our first print screen from the browser window, so make sure you include the browser window. And then we had a copy of the HTML. And then again we had to print screen, once we changed the background picture in the CSS, the page from the browser window. And then we had to basically compare and contrast the use of this picture compared to the original picture. Okay guys, thanks for your time. Please like and share this video. Please, if you haven't already done so, subscribe below. I will be finishing off the 2017 videos hopefully very soon for Web Expression. Thanks again for your time.